Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Let me ask you something straight. Have you ever felt that moment when your desire just dies? When you look at her and suddenly, everything that once made you chase, fight and care just fades into silence. You don't even argue anymore. You withdraw. You're not angry. You're empty. That's the slow death of a man's desire. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens through moments so small, they seem harmless, until they hollow you out. Before we go deeper into this truth, take a second to subscribe and like this video. It helps this message reach more men who need to hear what you're about to understand. Because what I'm about to reveal, most men never even realize until it's too late. Desire is the oxygen of a man's soul. It's what drives him to build, to love, to protect, to lead. But when that desire is slowly suffocated by rejection, by constant criticism, by emotional neglect, he starts to crumble from within. Women rarely see it happening. They think he's just distant or lazy or cold. But what she's actually seeing is the quiet death of his inner flame. It starts when a man feels unseen, when he's no longer admired, when his effort becomes expected instead of appreciated, when his vulnerability is used against him, when every time he opens up, it's met with dismissal or manipulation. Over time, he learns that silence is safer than honesty, and that's when the killing begins, not of love, but of desire. A man's desire isn't just about physical attraction, it's about feeling like his presence matters. When that feeling disappears, so does his drive, and you can see it in his eyes, that dimmed spark, that tired smile, that quiet disconnection. He's still there physically, but emotionally, he's gone. The tragedy is, no one talks about it. Society tells men to man up, to suppress, to move on. But men don't just stop desiring. They stop believing they're worthy of desire. That's the real heartbreak. Because once a man's desire dies, it doesn't just take the relationship with it, it takes him. Stay here, because what comes next isn't comfortable, but it's the truth behind why so many men today feel like ghosts in their own lives. You see, when a man's desire begins to fade, it's rarely because he's lost interest in her body. It's because he's lost connection to his purpose within that relationship. Desire for a man is deeply tied to meaning. He wants to feel needed, not used, respected, not tolerated. When that balance breaks, something inside him quietly collapses. He becomes what I call emotionally invisible, present, but unseen. It's not about ego, it's about instinct. A man's biology and psychology are wired to pursue, to protect, to provide. But when he feels like his effort earns nothing but criticism or control, his natural fire starts to suffocate. And this is the part most women don't understand. You can't shame a man into wanting more, you can only inspire him into it. Once a man feels that his masculine energy is no longer welcome, his heart begins to retreat behind walls that even love can't easily break. Some of you watching this have already felt that retreat. You try to keep peace, avoid fights, do what she asks, thinking maybe that will bring her closer again. But it doesn't. Instead, she grows colder, more distant, almost as if the more you comply, the less she respects you. That's not your imagination, because in her subconscious, your passivity signals weakness. Not because you're weak, but because she no longer feels your edge, your leadership, your vitality. And here's the painful paradox. The very man who once made her feel secure now makes her feel nothing. Because when desire dies in you, it reflects in her too. Relationships are energetic mirrors. She senses the void inside you, the lack of hunger, the lack of confidence, the lack of direction. Desire feeds on polarity, the spark between strength and softness, presence and mystery. When that disappears, so does the attraction. This isn't about blaming women, it's about truth. A man's desire can't survive in an environment where he's constantly walking on eggshells, where his words are twisted, or where affection becomes a reward for compliance instead of a response to authenticity. You can't negotiate desire. You either create it or you kill it. And when it dies, it doesn't explode. It fades. Quietly. So quietly that one day you wake up next to someone who still loves you, but you feel absolutely nothing. Not hate, not passion, just emptiness. And that's how the end truly begins. When a man reaches that point where he feels nothing, it's not sudden. It's the result of years of emotional erosion, little cuts that no one noticed, moments where he bit his tongue instead of speaking his truth, times he was told, "You're overreacting," "You're too sensitive," or "You don't understand women." Each one chips away at his spirit until silence becomes his survival mechanism. That's when his desire truly dies, not in anger, but in quiet surrender. See, most men don't want to argue. They don't want to constantly prove their worth to the person they love. They want peace. But when peace means suppressing who they are, it's no longer peace. It's self-abandonment. And self-abandonment always kills desire. You can't feel passion for someone when you're forced to shrink to keep them happy. A man's desire is born in freedom, in the feeling that he can express, protect, and pursue without ridicule. When he's constantly corrected, controlled, or compared, that freedom vanishes. He begins to internalize a false identity, one that's passive, agreeable, and emotionally disconnected. Society praises him for being nice, but what they don't see is that he's dying inside, because being nice at the cost of his truth makes him invisible to himself. And here's the dark reality. A woman can sense when her man has stopped desiring her, not sexually, but energetically. His gaze changes, his touch becomes mechanical. He's there, but his soul isn't in it. He's running on autopilot, doing what's expected, saying what's safe, and she feels it. Women are deeply intuitive. They pick up on emotional disconnection faster than words can explain. But instead of asking, "What happened to your fire?" she often assumes, "You must be talking to someone else." And that misunderstanding drives the wedge even deeper. The truth is, most men don't cheat with another woman. They cheat with silence, with escape, with withdrawal. They lose themselves in work, distractions, or isolation because they no longer feel like their authenticity has a home. That's how modern relationships quietly die, not through betrayal, but through emotional starvation. If you're watching this and you recognize that numbness inside you, understand this. Your desire isn't gone forever. It's buried under layers of disappointment, unspoken resentment, and unmet needs. But if you want to feel alive again, you have to be willing to confront what killed it in the first place. The truth is, what kills a man's desire isn't just her behavior, it's what he allows. Every time you tolerate disrespect disguised as teasing, every time you silence your instincts to avoid conflict, every time you pretend you're okay when you're not, you hand away a piece of your masculine energy. Desire doesn't thrive in submission, it thrives in self-respect. When you start betraying yourself, desire turns to dust. See, a woman can only meet you as deeply as you've met yourself. If you're living on autopilot, afraid to draw lines or speak truth, she'll sense that you've abandoned your own authority. And once she senses it, she stops admiring you. That's the invisible shift that rewires everything. She might still say she loves you, but her energy changes. The warmth in her tone fades. The softness turns into indifference. You feel it in her eyes, and your body knows it before your mind admits it. Most men don't understand how sacred masculine energy is. It's not dominance. It's direction. It's not control. It's clarity. But when you lose that clarity, you lose your center. And when a man loses his center, his desire collapses because he no longer feels in control of himself. Desire needs direction to exist. It's born in a man who knows who he is and what he stands for. Without that, everything starts to feel meaningless, even love. Here's the bitter irony. You can give a woman your loyalty, your time, your body, your commitment, but if you lose your sense of purpose, she'll still feel like something's missing. Because she doesn't crave your compliance. She craves your conviction. She wants to feel your strength, not in dominance, but in certainty. That's what keeps desire alive between two people, the dance between respect and attraction. So when you feel your desire dying, ask yourself, where did I start abandoning myself? Was it when you stopped saying what you really thought? Was it when you started apologizing for having standards? Was it when you began accepting less affection, less passion, less truth, just to keep peace? Because every time you do that, you're not keeping peace. You're keeping silence, and silence is the slowest poison to a man's heart. Desire doesn't die because of women. It dies when a man forgets how to be fully alive in his truth. And if you've lost that fire, it's not over. You can rebuild it. But first, you have to face the uncomfortable question: what part of me did I give away to be loved? When a man begins to realize how much of himself he's given away, something awakens inside him. It's painful because it forces him to see that the death of his desire wasn't caused by one woman or one relationship, but by his own pattern of self-betrayal. You see, every time you choose comfort over truth, you weaken your core. And the weaker your core becomes, the easier it is for the world, or anyone, to drain you. Desire can't live inside a man who's been domesticated by his own fear. Many men confuse peace with passivity. They think that avoiding confrontation will preserve harmony, but real harmony comes from alignment, not avoidance. You can't love fully if you're constantly suppressing yourself. You can't feel passion if you're walking on eggshells. You can't desire deeply if you've been trained to believe that your desires are wrong. Society has made men ashamed of their masculine fire. It calls confidence arrogance, leadership control, and boundaries toxicity. And under that pressure, millions of men slowly turn their fire down to a flicker just to be accepted. But here's what no one tells you. When you stop expressing your desire, you don't become safer. You become forgettable. The world stops feeling you. Your woman stops feeling you. And eventually, you stop feeling you. That's when desire dies. When a man forgets his own edge, his hunger, his raw masculine energy that once made him unstoppable. You were never meant to live a muted life. The purpose of your desire isn't just to chase pleasure, it's to give your energy direction. It's what makes you build, protect, and create. When that energy fades, life loses color. You start existing instead of living. That's why so many men feel empty even when they have everything: money, comfort, status, because somewhere along the way they sacrifice the part of them that burned with purpose. So if your desire is dying, it's time to stop blaming others and start reclaiming yourself. Rebuild your fire by honoring your boundaries, your goals, your instincts. Speak when it's uncomfortable. Walk away when it's necessary. Desire isn't fragile. It's a reflection of your truth. When you stand in that truth again, you'll notice something remarkable. The world responds differently. Even she will respond differently. Because when a man's fire returns, everything around him shifts. There comes a moment in every man's life when he has to decide, will I keep living numb or will I rise again? Because the truth is, no one's coming to reignite your desire for you. Not her, not society, not anyone. You have to do it yourself. And that begins with radical honesty. Look at the man in the mirror and ask, where did I stop showing up for myself? It's not weakness to admit you've drifted. It's strength to reclaim your fire. Desire isn't just about romance. It's the pulse of your masculine life force. It's what drives you to dream, to fight, to stand for something. But when that force is constantly suppressed, criticized, or ignored, you start living half alive. You go through the motions. Work, eat, sleep, repeat. But inside, you feel nothing. And here's what most men never realize, that emptiness isn't depression, it's disconnection. You've disconnected from your own power. So how do you rebuild it? By reclaiming sovereignty over your emotions and your energy. Stop seeking validation from those who drain you. Stop giving explanations for your truth. Stop trying to be the version of yourself that's easy to love. The real you, the grounded, decisive, purpose-driven man, isn't always easy, but he's unforgettable. When you show up as that version, your desire doesn't just return, it evolves. It becomes deeper, steadier, more powerful. And yes, it might mean losing people who were only comfortable with your weaker self. But that's not loss, that's liberation. Because once you stop needing permission to be fully alive, you start attracting people who match that energy. Desire flows naturally again, not as lust, but as purpose. You stop chasing and start magnetizing. You become the kind of man who doesn't need to beg for connection, because everything about your presence commands it. So if you feel your desire slipping away, don't mourn it. Rebuild it. Return to the man you were before the world told you to dim your light. Learn to respect your own voice, your own pace, your own worth. That's how you rise, from numbness to fire, from silence to strength. And if this message hits something deep inside you, subscribe to the channel and share this video with another man who needs to hear it. Because when men heal, the world heals.